Moment you've all been waiting for. Another installment of All Hands on Tech with your host, David Neal, Developer Advocate for Pluralsight. Yes, I am joking. I know you've been anticipating and waiting for this broadcast on pins and needles. Is that the phrase? Thank you for joining. Thank you for another opportunity to share with you some knowledge and skills and learn some stuff about coding and looking at Node.js and JavaScript and Vue and Tailwind, Fastify. So thank you for joining. And today we are continuing this journey of building a trivia game built on Node.js and some related technologies. It's a web-based game, real time. Folks can join the game and answer as many trivia questions as possible in the time they've been given. And today we'll continue working on some of the tasks that we have laid out in the README file. And if you are interested in looking at the source code, you can find that on my GitHub repository at github.com/reverendgeek/ahot-trivia-game. I am Reverend Geek on social media. If there's at any point you have any questions or want to have a comment, please post that in the chat wherever you are. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear, where you're coming from and what you, if you're returning from one of the previous streams, let me know. That would be really awesome to hear and to know that. We'll dive into the code in just a moment, but if there are any comments or questions you want to leave me, you can do that. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm Reverend Geek everywhere. Twitter, Mastodon, Instagram, reverendgeek.com is my home for the web. And it'd be awesome if you went and checked out some of my stuff. And you can contact me through any of those channels. So if there's something that I cover today or there's a question that you have later that I don't get a chance to answer, you can contact me through one of those other mechanisms. And I'd love to hear from you. If you happen to be interested in my live stream setup, my office studio, the cameras I use, the microphone, the software, the lighting, and all that stuff, I recently wrote a blog post and recorded a video on that. You can find that on my blog at reverendgeek.com. Go check it out if you're interested. It was a lot of fun to put together. All right, I'm going to switch over to my desktop here and turn off the source code caption. Where we ended up last week was we finished the game timer, and we also finished creating a mock set of quiz questions that we can use to test the game engine with. So this item right here is actually done. So we've got a pool of questions, and we created a function to randomize those questions, and at least I think so, right? We got get random trivia, and we're taking the first 50 trivia questions, and we're sending those down to the client. So I'm gonna go ahead and comment out or delete the console logs there. So send trivia is a function that is going to send the trivia questions to broadcast those questions to every player of the game. So we're using IO, socket IO, which is on the server, the way it's registered as a plugin. So we can do server.io.emit, and we're emitting on a channel called trivia, and we're sending all the trivia questions and answers or choices. And eventually, as I talked about on the last stream, we will remove the correct answers, or the thing that tells which choice is correct. That way, people who are playing the game can't, clever look at the source code or inspect the JavaScript variables and figure out how to hack the game, right? We want to thwart the hackers. Alvi asks, are you using Mac or Windows? And which MacBook is this? Yes, I am using an M1 MacBook Pro. I upgraded from my really ancient, or it felt pretty ancient. I think it was a 2012 MacBook Pro that I held on to for a long time. Excuse me. Because I did not like the keyboards and the some of the new features of the MacBooks. How much RAM? Yeah, I think I have 32 gig of RAM on this machine. Might be a little overkill for most of the work that I do, but yeah, I'm of the opinion that, if there's one thing you can never have too much of, that's RAM. So back to the game. What we're going to do today is start working on the client to be able to display the trivia questions and allow each player to answer the trivia. If at any point you have any questions, you can drop those in the chat. I'll be glad to help in any way that I can. My job is to help you be more awesome. So any way that I can do that, you let me know. So from the console, one of the things I do is a kind of a housekeeping step every time I get, about once a week when I work on a project, I'll run npm outdated to see if there are any packages in the project that are out of date and update those. So we've got a few in here. npm update should update all of those because they're all kind of minor or patch updates that should not be breaking. So if I rerun npm outdated, we see nothing left in the list. And the game itself, we'll go ahead and launch it. So to run the game, in the README file are instructions on how to set up the game locally if you want to get the source code and install that on your own machine. You'll need Node.js, which you can download or use NVM, which is what I use. NVM is a Node version manager where you can have multiple versions of Node installed on your computer and easily be able to switch between them. For the game that we're developing, I'm assuming that you are on version 16 or higher. 18 is the current stable LTS long-term support version of Node as of right now. And eventually, version 19, which is kind of the beta version for Node, will be promoted to version 20. And it will become the new production release. That'll happen sometime later this year, around October or so, I believe. That's the normal cadence for yearly updates to Node.js. In case you were wondering, I'm going to run to start the game. I'm going to use npm run dev, and that's going to launch NodeMon, which not only starts the web server, but also monitors the source code for any changes. So I don't have to continually stop and restart the server. It will automatically restart the server for me. So I'm going to open up the browser. There's a bunch of console information from Fastify on the requests. And here's the glorious AHOT trivia game. Yes, we have not got to the step yet of like making it look pretty. We do have Tailwind installed and support for fonts and some other things. So the foundation is there. If you want to go back and look at some of the previous streams that we did together, or if you just want to look at the source code to see how that's set up, it's ready to go. We just haven't created like all the classes or put all the class attributes on elements to make it look pretty. We'll get to that one of these days. Right now, we're just focused on solving the technical challenges of writing back-end server code with Node.js, JavaScript, and front-end code with JavaScript and Vue. So I can click this start a new game, enter my game name, and now it says it's waiting for other players to join. It's kind of a naive setup right now, but I can launch another browser, maybe give it player 2. I'm going to open up the developer tools so that we can see the JavaScript console. So we're starting the game. There's a countdown timer that we implemented, and now the game has started. There's still more work to do, but this is where we got to on the last stream. Was we are transmitting the 50 quiz questions to the client, and the state is now updated to active. So we were in a countdown state before. Now we're in an active game state, and now we're ready to build our front end for doing the game. So where do we start first? Well, I'm going to start with in the public folder under components. These are our Vue.js components. I'm going to create a new component for the quiz, and I'm just going to call it quiz.js. And I'm going to take a look at one of these other ones to borrow some data from. Let's see. This one has properties on it. I'm going to grab this one and copy it over to quiz.js. And we got a player name. We will need a countdown. ID is fine. And let's see. We'll need some other properties. let me see. We'll need the question, which is a string. Actually, the question is an object because we're going to send down like the question. Uh, this uh, this component will contain the quiz or the question object that has like the question text and the choices that are available. Let's say the current question ID, which is a number. Um, let's see. Score will be a number that we'll get from the server. And I think that may be it for now. So those are our properties that are going to be set on this component. We're also going to, I know we're going to emit some data from this component. So whenever a player clicks on a choice, or there's also an option of skipping a question. Like if you don't know the answer and you'd rather skip it than to answer it. Basically the same as like answering it incorrectly, but might make the player feel better to just skip it. So we're going to look at one of these other ones. So join has a button on here that emits an event called register player. So we're going to borrow that, put this on the quiz, and we're going to say instead of register player, we'll call it an answer and a skip. So those are the two events that this component will send back, so to speak. And then we'll have some methods on this component that will call from the code. One of them will be an answer. That'll take in an index. That'll be like the choice. Say there's 4 choices. The index would be like 1, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And when we take in the answer, we're going to immediately emit that as an answer using the index that was supplied. If they skip, then we will emit the skip function. And we'll send the question ID along with that. Now let's see. We got our template, which is our HTML. And somewhere in here, we're going to have our score property. We'll probably have the champion name. Our player name, score. Later we'll have, good classes, and we'll style all of this to make it look nicer. And this will be our question and the question text. So the question text will look like, we have our trivia.json. And each question looks like this. There's a question property and a choices property, which is an array of choices, and a correct property. So here, looking at the question object, the property on the question object is also called question. So that's what is going to be displayed as the quiz question. And then we're going to loop a list of choices. And in view, how you bind to like an array of items or any kind of iterable property is using the v-for, like looping over. So v-for, we'll use choice and index question dot choices, I think. Yeah. And inside here, for each item, we forgot to wrap this in a unordered list element. So for each one of these, we'll have a button that has a click of, let's see, answer, and that'll be our index. And let's see, if this is interesting, because the way we have the choices set up right now, we have an array of, it's either say 4 choices, or there's 2 choices, with the 2 choices being true or false. So in the case of a normal quiz question, and by normal I mean it has 4 choices, I would like to have the button labels be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, something like that. Now let's just put the index. But for a true false question, I want maybe the button itself to have true or false in the caption. So let's see. One way we could do that is look to see if the choice is equal to true or false. We could create a function up here that would like calculate all of that for us as like a calculated property or a method. That would be cool. But for now, I think we'll just do it in line. We'll say this is equal to choice dot choice. Choice is the object. The first choice is the object itself, this one right here. And then after that is the properties on that object, which is also called choice. If it's equal to true or choice dot choice is equal to false, then I want it to be choice dot choice. Otherwise, it's the index, maybe index plus one since it's zero based. And this whole conditional statement also needs to be wrapped. Whoops, wrong place. So we're looking at the choices. If it's true or false, then use that property. Otherwise, use the index. Um, then after the button, again, choice dot choice. So this would be like VIF. VIF is like the property on Vue that says if this condition is true, then show this element. If not, hide the element. So choice, the VIF here would be choice dot choice is not equal to true, and got to mix our characters here, and choice dot choice is not equal to false. And then afterwards, we'll add another button down here for the skip. So in here, the click event will be for skip. And we'll just let's see. Just checking my notes. Figure out how we're going to drive this thing. All right, so the quiz is going to be a component of the client. So in the client here, we're going to import the quiz component. And we need to add it to our list of components to register it. And earlier when we got our trivia, we said this dot trivia equals trivia. So there's our trivia that holds all of the data, all the trivia questions. It's the array. So when the game, or when this component starts, we need to have like a current question, which will be default will be 0. It's like the first question. We'll need a way of storing the score for the current player. So a question just came through. It says the project has no tests. Is this okay? Well, yes and no. I have not created tests for the project, and we're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants on building this application. So in a more realistic scenario, we would definitely want to have tests. So it was a decision that I made to not go through building tests for everything. But that is an exercise that we may want to explore in a future episode. Is how would we add tests around the back end stuff and the front end stuff and some of the behaviors and so forth. So that's a really good question. Feel free to call me out on that if you're passionate about tests. I completely understand. Let's see. So I'm going to come down here and register the quiz component, and it's going to be VIF equals state equals active. So I think the state that we're calling the game state is the active state. And we've got a number of properties on the quiz that we set up. So I know player name is one of them. ID is one of them. Countdown will definitely is one of them. And let's see what else. The question object, the current question ID, and the score. So score is equal to the score property, which we haven't calculated. That'll be something that we do later on after we receive the answers. we need a question, which would be like the current question. So I think that'll be a computed property that fetches the current question out of the array. There's current question ID, which I think we have it up here as current question. And now we need to set up the those events that the quiz component is going to emit. And so that'll be at answer and at skip. Yeah, answer and skip. So in the methods, let's create an answer method and a skip method. The answer takes sends an index, and the skip takes a question ID. Although I don't know that we really need to know what the question ID is, because we already know that. So maybe that's not necessary. Now we're just going to console log player answered index and player skipped. And we'll, in both cases, we will increase the current question so that the next question is quiz question is displayed. And let's see. Oh, so these methods are answer and skip. The question needs to be questions. So we have trivia. So our array is trivia, right? And it'll be trivia current question. I think that's all we need for that. All right. Let's so Vue is complaining that I didn't set up this skip correctly. So let's go back and look at that. Skip equals skip. Let's try refreshing that again. Looks good. Refresh this one. Start a new game. Start a new game. All right. So we have player 2 with a 0 score. The first question is mock trivia question number 158. There's 4 choices and a skip. These should be buttons. I should be able to click on them. So choice 1. So I have to really click on the number. So player answered 0. Now we have mock trivia question number 35. I'll click choice number 2. Player answered 1, which is the index 1. Now we have mock trivia question 62. Let's see if we can get a, here we go. Here's a true and false. So mock trivia question number 13, true or false. Let's click on false. Player answered 1, which is the second answer. Now click on skip, and I see player skipped. So client side, we're rocking and rolling, except for the fact that it looks terrible. Let's at least fix these buttons, right? Make these buttons look better. So button class. What kind of, let's see. Let's make this a rounded button. Let's give it a margin of maybe margin top. No, wait. Yeah, we'll set margins of 4, margin bottom 2. Let's set the padding to 16 on the X left and right for 16, the padding top and bottom to 3. And let's see, BG. How did I do that on the yeah, let's just grab this same BG slate 400, put that on there. All right, let's take that, put it on the skip button. Let's change the skip to something else. Let's add some more padding. I don't know, 12. See what that looks like. And we'll set the background color. Let's see if it gives us. Hoping for some IntelliSense. Visual Studio Code usually gives me good IntelliSense. There we go. BG. So instead of slate, let's do a red 400. Refresh, refresh. Game starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so true, false, and skip. Yeah, I mean, we still got work to do to make these look better, but and then over here on this other one, we see the same order of questions: true, false, skip. Question number 35. This is also question number 35. So the choices or the questions are in random order, but they're also, each player in the current game gets the same set and same order of questions. Choice 2, false. So we can just sit there and answer trivia questions, and all is well on the client. But now we've got the work of sending that data back to the server. So we're going to use Socket.io to transmit the answer to the server, allow the server to calculate the score, whether that question was right or wrong, and send an acknowledgement back to the client so the client can move on to the next question. All right. I'm actually going to go ahead and commit what we have so far. Quiz component. Displays. Trivia question. And choices. I'm going to push that to the repository. So we have started the game. We've recording the answers from each player. So we've kind of gotten that far. We're not actually recording the answer on the server side yet. So record answers on the server and calculate current score. So I'm going to push that update as well. All right. I've been keeping these streams to about an hour. I'm don't think we could get into anything else in the next few minutes. So I'm going to open this up to any questions that you may have. So for the next few minutes, we can chat about, any of the stuff that we've covered today. If you have any questions about anything that I did, why I did it, if there was anything confusing about the view components or properties or any of the things that we set up in each of the components. Drop your comments wherever you may be. I'm going to switch over to my camera. So we got pretty far on the client today as far as like displaying each of the questions and allowing the player to choose from one of the given choices. So feeling pretty good about that. We got about as far as I expected to today. In the next set of streams, we will definitely look into sending that quiz answer to the server and start working on calculating the score and saving that kind of game state on the server side as well, so that we can keep track of the scores of all the players and be able to eventually show that maybe on a dashboard view, so that folks who are maybe watching others play the game, they can see a chart of all the players and who's in the lead, currently in the lead, and what the countdown timer is. So that's another thing too, is as the game is playing, we had a countdown timer as to starting the game, like 3, 2, 1, go. We'll also have a countdown timer running while the game is being played, probably something like 60 seconds. And at the end, when that 60 seconds is up, then it will end the game for all the players. Kind of like pencils down. You can't answer any more questions. And the final scores will be calculated and, see who the winner is. So still have more work to do, still have a lot of logic to create for the game, interactivity, and definitely a lot of styling to make it look good. But we are getting there. I hope you learn some stuff today. Hope the things that we covered in this stream were interesting and useful to you. I'd love to hear your feedback. If there's anything I can do for you, any questions I can answer, please let me know. After the stream is over, you can contact me a number of ways. I am Reverend Geek on social media, David Neal on LinkedIn. There's lots of different ways to get in contact with me. If you're interested in getting the source code for this project, you can find that on my GitHub repository at github.com/reverentgeek/ahot-trivia-game. And GitHub is another way that you can contact me through the repository. You can open an issue or get my contact information from there, and or you can go to my website, reverentgeek.com, and find out how to contact me on there. Thanks for joining today. I hope you have a great rest of your week and hope to see you in the future on another All Hands on Tech. My name is David Neal. I am a developer advocate for Pluralsight, and my job is to help you learn and be passionate about technology. My job is to help you be more awesome. And any way that I can do that, you let me know. Hope to see you again. And bye for now.